Chapter 514, The Harvest. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Zhang Yuochen's gaze turned toward Ao Xinyan, junior sister apprentice Ao. From today onwards, you and the Orange Star Emissary will seclude yourselves for refining inside the scroll world. If you have any questions while practicing, you can ask Blackie. The scroll world was a unique holy land for practicing. Naturally, Ao Xinyan was willing to practice inside. At the very least, she had to raise her cultivation to the Fish Dragon realm. Only after reaching the Fish Dragon realm can one be considered a supernatural being, having truly stepped onto the holy road. The Orange Star Emissary and Ao Xinyan both wanted to work hard to raise their cultivation and increase their strength, so they didn't waste any more time. They sat cross-legged at the side of the stump of the sacred prime tree and begun to run their exercises to start their practice. Meanwhile, Zhang Yuochen, Blackie, and Huang Yanshan walked towards the heart of the tree stump, gradually approaching the newly sprouted sacred prime tree seedling. A glimmer of worry appeared on Huang Yanshan's face. She turned and looked in the direction of the Orange Star Emissary. Zhang Yuochen, you must not be blinded by the Orange Star Emissary's beauty. Her words are not to be trusted. I think that she has only submitted to you so that she can practice in the scroll world, to use this unique environment to make herself more powerful. Once her practice is done, she will definitely fight her way out of the scroll world. Zhang Yuochen smiled and said, I understand. Blackie walked on his two hind paws and laughed loudly. Anyone can tell that her submission is fake. For a little girl, she is very scheming. It doesn't matter, I have a way to control her. I can teach her true submission. Zhang Yuochen, are you interested in teaching her yourself? Zhang Yuochen shook his head and said, I have no interest. She is the person you want. Naturally, I will give her to you to discipline. I only hope that there won't be trouble in the future because of her. Blackie huffed coldly. How is it possible that I won't be able to subdue her? You, however, you have to help me find two other physical qualities, a genuine God body and an innate extreme Yang body. Of the 5 physical qualities, not even one can be missing. I will help you keep an eye out for it, Zhang Yuochen said. The two people and the cat soon came to the new sprout of the sacred prime tree. The spiritual chi was even thicker here. The spiritual chi of wood nature, in particular, was flowing through the air as if in streams before finally condensing into a cloud of white fog. Zhang Yuochen looked at the giant sacred wood in front of him and said, Blackie, do you remember the matter I told you about before? When I obtained the chi of origin from the wood spirit primitive world, I entered that mysterious realm again. At that time, I saw an elder practicing the sword in front of the sacred prime tree. Do you know who that elder is? Blackie was a bit surprised. His eyes rolled around, thinking for a moment, then he shook his head. I have stayed a total of 1,000,000 years in the scroll world. I have never seen an elder practicing the sword. But what? Zhang Yuochen's gaze became serious. It seemed that Blackie was recalling something. Saint Monk Zumi, an old Buddhist monk, once demonstrated a set of sword techniques here. Perhaps the elder you saw practicing the sword was a shadow left hundreds of years ago by Monk Zumi. A shadow can remain for so long? Huang Yanshan was somewhat doubtful. Blackie said, naturally, other shadows cannot do so. However, Saint Monk Zumi, the Buddhist monk, was not an ordinary person. The fluctuations in his power were too strong. It was enough to twist this piece of space. It is not impossible for you to see his shadow once again after 1,000,000 years. There is indeed this possibility. Zhang Yuochen nodded his head. In the entire world, probably only Saint Monk Zumi and Zhang Yuochen could meld time into their sword techniques. In Zhang Yuochen's heart, he guessed that at that time, the sacred prime tree had absorbed a great deal of the chi of origin, causing a fluctuation in the spiritual chi. This caused the 1,000,000-year-old image to be shown anew. Of course, this was only his and Blackie's guess. It might not be the truth. Zhang Yuochen had just started practicing the Sword of Time. Even for the first movement, swift and neat, he had only reached a small success. If he wanted to meld the power of time and sword technique into one, he still needed a long time to practice. The practice method for the Sword of Time should be recorded in the Mystery of Time and Space. Zhang Yuochen immediately took out the Mystery of Time and Space. He flipped through the book until the 9th page and indeed saw the words Sword of Time. In the past, Zhang Yuochen could only read until the 8th page. Whenever he reached the 9th page, he couldn't open it no matter how he tried. This was his first time flipping to the 9th page. He saw that on the 9th page of the Mystery of Space and Time, there were a total of 900 little people drawn on it. Each person was only the size of a fly. They each held a sword in their hands, and their postures were strange as they demonstrated different sword movements. Some were bent down, stabbing forward with the sword in one hand. Others had their legs bent and arms held out, swinging and chopping with their sword. 900 pictures, 900 forms. Each picture was a sword movement. They were piercing, lifting, blocking, or chopping. Each movement was different, but very clever and filled with the charm of sword technique. Swift swordsmanship was the foundation of the Sword of Time. One time mark, one moment, one sword technique. 900 moments gathered into 1 quarter. 8 quarters gathered into 2 hours. 12 hours gathered into 1 day. The origin of time was just a moment. There were a total of 900 movements in the swift swordsmanship. Zhang Yuochen had only learned one of them. Zhang Yuochen injected his spiritual power completely into the time mysterium. It was like his soul had jumped out of his body and landed on the page of the book. Swish! Immediately, the 900 little people holding swords on the page came alive. They stood all around Zhang Yuochen and continuously demonstrated the movements, each person demonstrating a different movement. Zhang Yuochen completely immersed his spiritual power. He walked to the side of the first little person and watched his sword technique and sword movement very closely, following along. Perhaps it was because he had already successfully practiced one movement of swift swordsmanship that when he practiced the second one, he learned it very quickly. Zhang Yuochen withdrew his spiritual power and drew out his abyss ancient sword. His arm was as straight as the sword as he struck out with it. Swish! The sword technique flashed like lightning in front of Huang Yanqing's eyes. The next moment, Zhang Yuochen was already standing 10 meters away, pulling his sword back. Speaking to himself, he said, "There are 900 movements to swift swordsmanship. Only when I have successfully learned all 900 sword movements, will I be able to learn the second part of the time of sword." It is a graduated sword technique. The biggest weakness of the swift swordsmanship was that the movements did not flow together. Each movement was independent of the others. However, as Zhang Yuochen learned more and more of the sword movements, the sword technique underwent great changes. Even with one move, it would be enough for him to be a king in the same realm. At this moment, Zhang Yuochen was not in a rush to seclude himself to practice swift swordsmanship. Rather, he put away the mystery of time and space and brought out Huang Shenyi's body. Since Huang Shenyi had obtained the Xuanmu heritage, he certainly had more than the 6-hilt divine sword on him. What other treasures had he received? Snap! Zhang Yuochen enveloped his hands in genuine qi, then struck out, shattering the layer of ice on Huang Shenyi's body. He began to search it. There was a turtle shell-shaped amulet treasure around Huang Shenyi's neck. This amulet treasure was able to block the attack of the abyss ancient sword, so naturally, it was not an ordinary thing. The turtle shell was called turtle armor. It was only the size of a fingernail. It was blue in color, and very complicated inscriptions were carved inside. It was a 12th level genuine martial arm of the defensive class. One only had to use genuine chi to activate the defensive inscriptions on the turtle armor, creating a spherical array chi shield. If a warrior at the heaven realm injected all their genuine chi into the turtle armor, it would be enough to block a full-strength attack from a monk in the 6th change of the Fish Dragon realm. It could only block one attack. If the monk at the 6th change of the Fish Dragon realm struck out again, a warrior at the Heaven realm would not have enough genuine chi to activate the defensive power of the turtle armor again. Furthermore, if the other party had a 12th level genuine martial arm weapon or even a holy weapon, then the turtle armor would not be able to block the opponent's attack. The turtle armor was indeed a rare defensive treasure. It would be too much of a waste to give to the abyss ancient sword to refine. Zhang Yuochen gave the turtle armor to Huang Yanqing and said, "Senior sister apprentice Yanqing, I'm giving this amulet treasure to you. Although the turtle Amor was precious, it was not comparable to the six-hilt divine sword. Thus, Huang Yanjun didn't bother to be polite with Zhang Yuochen. She accepted the turtle armor and placed it on her wrist. Next, Zhang Yuochen found 2 bottles of pills on Huang Shenyi's body. One bottle contained white fish dragon pills. The fish dragon pill was a 7th level pill. It was very precious and could help a warrior break through a martial bottleneck and break mortal shackles to enter the fish dragon realm. For a warrior in the heaven realm, fish dragon pills were a priceless treasure. Given Huang Shenyi's cultivation, he only needed to take the fish dragon pill to immediately break into the fish dragon realm. However, what he really wanted was to charge into the ultimate realm of the heaven realm. Thus, he only carried this pill on him. He never expected that he wouldn't be able to take it. Actually, it was not that regretful. In history, there were many talented people who wanted to charge into the ultimate realm of the heaven realm, so they suppressed their own realms, unwilling to break through. In the end, not only did they not reach the ultimate realm of the heaven realm, but they died without breaking through. There were too many such examples. Although the fish dragon pill was an incredible treasure, he wasn't interested. Like Huang Shenyi, he wanted to break into the ultimate realm of the heaven realm. Even if he knew that this path was difficult and that he could die very easily, he would still go through it with determination. That was why he also gifted the fish dragon pill to Huang Yanjun. The other bottle of pills was rather strange. Even the bottle was rather ancient, as if it were a treasure. Zhang Yuochen used his hands to pull the lid off the elixir bottle, but no matter how much strength he exerted, the lid did not move at all.